Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode. Since I hit 100 subscribers, I decided why not read some of my old writing, or as I like to think of it, rooting my writing career before it even begins. Now, this is stuff that I wrote when I was 14, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to read some of this stuff was to show that writing takes practice. And anyone, you know, can be a good writer, but we all have to start off somewhere. And this is unscripted, so you may hear me be slightly umming more than usual, but that's just part of the episode. And so now, this story was basically the first one I ever wrote. I was around 14, and it was basically about a group of clones who had superpowers, who was basically in the city that couldn't be found by people, where they had eventually journey out into the human world and save their city. Now, looking back, the writing is not great, but to be fair, there are some things I like about it, and one of the things is it's very creative. Now, I am going to be reading the first two chapters since it is rather short. The total story comes to only 84 pages. So the first and second chapters, that's when we're introduced to all the roughly main characters. So, um, that shouldn't be too long. And because of that, because I recycle my characters from my old stories, I'm gonna be able to essentially point out, oh, look, it's this character before I actually knew how to write characters, essentially. Alright, so now that that stuff is out of the way, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and let's roast my old writing together. So, The Lost City, Chapter 1. Coyote, Coyote, wake up! A voice urgently said. I opened my eyes and saw a man with black hair staring back at me, his green-blue eyes showing grief. Which, Coyote, funny enough, is actually a early version of my main character for the novel I'm working on now, Melissa. And Coyote, yeah, she's pretty much a cardboard character. No personality, not too many, zero flaws. Basically, a person that's like, wow, this is not a great character. What's the matter, Soul? I asked, sitting up on the mattress that served as my bed, which Soul is now Percy. Flint's dead, Soul replied, shaking his head. What? How did that happen? He was out on his patrolling, good grammar there, the territory with Scarface and Jaguar, Alex and Jason, when another gang suddenly attacked them and stabbed Flint in the back. We're holding the funeral downstairs. Soul exited my room, his tennis shoes thumping on the warped floor. Now that's actually not, bad description. I would need to put more, if I obviously write this today, I would obviously take out the ableism with Alex's past name, as well as add a few more sensory descriptions. I sighed and shook my head in disbelief. Another member of the wolf pack dead. Well, then again, I shouldn't be surprised. After all, no one survives for long in the Lost City, especially when an enemy gang, the Scorpions, are always trying to raid our source of food or kill our warriors in one way or another. They always try to wreak as much havoc as possible. Ah, yes, the classical newbie writing mistake of telling instead of showing. I quickly smoothed the wrinkles on my black t-shirt and blue jeans that I had slept in last night. I brushed back my long silver hair with my hands and went downstairs to attend the funeral, So besides being clones, these characters also have some unusual features. For instance, silver hair despite being young. But this actually isn't too bad of a way to describe a character, as at least in my early running days, I did avoid the characters describe themselves with looking in mirrors, so that was one bullet I did somehow manage to dodge. In a candlelit room downstairs, souls stood around a short, wooden table along with two other people. They were gazing at the body, which was wrapped in gauze, like a mummy. I heard Soul muttering some prayers under his breath. Do I ever mention my characters being religious? Absolutely not. This never comes up again. One of Soul's comrades wore black sweatpants and had strange blonde hair that had a leopard-like pattern in it, as if he had dyed it in certain spots. He glared at me for a second, then pulled the top of his blue hoodie over his bowed head. Jason's early reincarnation being as much of a screw-up as possible. Jason was created to be a screw-up, and that's all he will ever be in any reincarnation. The other 16-year-old wore a gray shirt, a black windbreaker, and blue jeans. Wow, Alex is like really young in this one. Wow. He had his black hair in little spikes, like a hedgehog's bristles. The most striking thing about him, though, was that he only had one pale green eye. The other eyelid, the left one, had been sewn shut with a red thread that ran diagonally across his face, stopping at the bridge of his nose. Why? I don't know. But Alex was basically destined to be missing an eye from the day he was created. The poor man. The one-eyed person walked over to me. "How are you?" he asked, his voice filled with grief. "Word proximity?" "I'm doing well, Scarface." "Wow, great name. Not ableist at all." Not ableist at all. Good job, 14-year-old me. Despite the casualty that happened today. Really? You're doing okay, despite the fact that someone you knew died. You mean you don't even miss Flint? The person with the spotted hair snapped, his blue eyes flashing. Of course he misses him. We all do. Scarface sighed, bowing his head in sorrow. He was a good man, Jaguar. One of my best fighters as well. Okay, but how do you know that Coyote misses her comrade? But she said she's doing fine! However, we must hunt for food soon, so there is little time for mourning, Sol added. We want to have breakfast today, right? I mean, you could always just have brunch. Just scooch that meal over. Jaguar let out a low growl and glared at us, as he and Sol carried the body away to be buried. Like, that's not gonna take several, 100 hours. Given the fact that, I don't think I ever said what season it is. But if it's winter, they are not gonna get that body buried. Like, they're not gonna even break ground. As soon as the last handful of dirt had been tossed into Flint's grave, our gang, the wolf pack, yes, you already mentioned that, went to scrounge for food along the cold, weather-beaten streets. Okay, I think it is winter, but I don't think 14-year-old me ever specifically mentioned that. Since neither human nor animal had ever found the lost city, every gang had relied on dumpsters for food. Ah, yes, nutritious. The dumpsters were filled once a week by green garbage trucks that for some strange reason kept stopping here. Soul, who had the power to look into spirits of people and animals, said he had once tried to look into the soul of one of the vehicles to see who was driving. Surprisingly, there was no one in the truck. Okay, but if there's no human or animals here, then how does Soul know That he can look at the spirits of people and animals. Make it make sense, little me. And for the trucks, I think I explained that later as they were robots, which I don't know why I included that detail. Or why I decided, yes, let's have my characters eat literal garbage. Instead of just, letting them hunt some squirrels or something. Our feet crunch in the snow of midwinter. Oh, I did mention it was winter. Okay, so good job, little me. As the wolf pack made its way to the edge of our territory, where the biggest dumpster was. My stomach rumbled as I thought of moldy chicken, rotten vegetables, and other scraps of food we were going to collect. Why? Why is my character hungry over literal trash? No. Oh my gosh. And moldy chicken? That's not even gonna be edible. That's gonna give her food poisoning. It'd be one thing if they were throwing me like canned vegetables or, sometimes restaurants will throw away food that's perfectly fine because they can't sell it anymore, but like moldy chicken? Oh, how do they even not have such bad food poisoning all the time? When the pack reached its destination, however, we found the cover of our dumpster thrown open and bits of stale food tossed in all different directions on the wet pavement. Wow, that's freaking wasteful. Not to mention, our only food source was raided by an enemy gang. Why is that their only food source? Is there only one dumpster in this entire area that they can go to? That's really poor planning on their part, honestly. Like, if it wasn't enemy gang, then like it could have been anyone else. So why do they only have one single food source they can go to when they have an entire city? Looking for food, Scarface? A deep voice laughed. Our leader turned to see a person step out of the shadows, munching on a slice of soggy pizza. So, was this person just waiting there, holding a piece of pizza just for this moment? That is melodramatic as heck and overkill. And that, honestly, knowing this character, that makes sense. Although his clothes, khakis and a red t-shirt, had patches in numerous places, there was still a cocky smile on the teenage face. What if his clothes have to do with his attitude? What are those? How do those two things connect? It was none other than Ace, the leader of our arch enemies, the Scorpions. Yes, I think I mentioned the Scorpions previously. No need to mention them again. 5 of his cronies also revealed themselves, then lounged against a brick wall munching on our food as if they owned the place. Okay, but like, the fact that they're munching on food that's probably gonna give them food poisoning. Come on, guys, you can find better stuff. You can do better. You dare cross into our territory and steal our food? Scarface growled, balling his hands into fists. Oh my god! Who talks like this? Oh no, it sounds so unnatural. Oh no. Like, the thing with writing angry words is that when people get angry, they talk in shorter sentences. So this long sentence that is supposed to be angry just does not come off that way. It's too long to sound natural. Yes, I dare. And by the way, how is Flint? The last time I saw him, he had my dagger in his bag. Ace said smugly, his brown eyes glittering, and a smile on his face. Yes, we can establish that. But I said that smugly, considering his facial features. But so like, For the dagger in the back? Um, did Ace just leave their weapon in Flint's back, or did he actually pull it out? I don't know. At this comment, Jaguar roared, his nails growing in razor-sharp claws. I liked animals back then. Well, I still do. And you can really tell. As well as you can also tell the fact that I had no outline for this. At all. Actually, for the first 3 books of this series, I never had an outline, and you could tell. Murderer! You killed my best friend! Jaguar, stop! So yelled, we can't afford any more deaths! Ignoring my comrade's shout, Jaguar snarled and lunged at the scorpion leader. White feathers sprouted out of Ace's arms as they transformed into sharp-edged wings. He ran forward, half gliding in the air, and slashed at Jaguar's arms. Hard. How does that work? How are feathers sharp? My comrade leapt back with a howl of pain. Oh God, comrade, it's Russian now. Blood dripping from his arms and onto the sidewalk, pooling at his feet. Ace landed a few feet away, the edge of his wings now painted red. Oh boy, here we go to one of the more ridiculous passages. When Jaguar rushed forward to attack again, fury in his eyes, I made my move. I ran up beside my comrade, and using Jaguar's back as a springboard, leapt high into the air. Ace laughed and sliced Jaguar's arms again. Why not go for a more fatal blow like the stomach? Not say me coming from above. How? How did he not see that super obvious move? I only saw the leader's horror and pain as I drove my obsidian dagger into his right wing. The tyrant screamed and jerked away, tearing his bleeding wing even more, the hot blood spraying in my face. Okay, but since she used Jaguar's back as a springboard, how did she not snap the man's spine? Because backs aren't really flexible in that manner. They're not made for that. So how did she not snap his back, or at the very least knock him down? I don't know. But this was before I took martial arts, so when it came to the fight scenes, I very much took inspiration from, unrealistic action movies. So, make of that what you will. Scorpions attack, yelled Lucas, Ace's second in command. He, oh God, I can never read this word. Unsheathed? A dagger from his belt, his green eyes bright with rage, and lashed out. Oh yes, good job not checking my spelling. A young girl with black hair charged forward and swung a crowbar at Scarface. Our leader grinned, grabbed the weapon, and snapped the crowbar in half as if it were a toothpick. His attacker yelped in surprise and raced out of the fight. Okay, that's actually a good way of showing he has the power of super strength. That's actually not too bad. Coward! Scarface. Oh, wow, why did I say that out loud? Coward, Scarface muttered. I heard a high-pitched whistling noise, and threw myself to the rough ground to avoid the knife that had been thrown at my throat. Again, why aim for such a small target? If you're gonna aim for anything while throwing a knife, aim for center mass. Lucas rushed at me, unsheathing 2 extra daggers, one for each hand. I met one of his blades with mine, and for a second my arm went numb. Which I think is actually pretty accurate, given the fact that I used to do sword fighting, it actually is a bit of a shock when you first parry a sword with your sword, because you're not used to that sensation yet. Lucas attempted to take advantage of that by slitting my throat with his other knife, but I ducked and sliced at his stomach. Lucas suddenly jumped back and kicked me on the side of my head with his right foot. So did she Oh, yeah, she ducked down and then he kicked her. Okay, that didn't make sense for a second. I yelped as pain exploded in my head and my vision went fuzzy as I staggered back, stunned. I tried to duck under another slash at my throat, but I wasn't quick enough. My attacker's blade sliced open my forehead and blood trickled in my right eye. Ooh, that's not great. That's not good at all. I snarled and desperately tried to swipe the stinging red liquid from my eye, the taste of iron in my throat, as blood also flowed into my mouth. Ugh. Yeah, forehead. This is pretty accurate since forehead wounds bleed a lot. Lucas grinned and swept my feet from under me with his leg. Ah, yes, the classic Mortal Kombat leg sweep. Dude, if this guy played Mortal Kombat, he would just spam that all day. All the breath went from my body as I hit the hard asphalt. The impact also jarred my obsidian knife from my grasp, and it skidded out of my reach. But obsidian is like super fragile, so how did that not like break? As he raised the knife for a death blow, Lucas smiled evilly and said, "You fight pretty well for a girl, but not good enough. Any last words?" Ah, yes. Classic casual sexism. Good job, 14-year-old me. Suddenly, a flash of light color slammed into Lucas. I got up and grabbed my knife, as Lucas tussled with his attacker. I raced into the battle and slashed Lucas on the arms with my dagger multiple times, while he grappled with his enemy. "Curse you, coyote!" Lucas howled as he fled. Again, why aim for the arms? That's not really gonna do much, and, like, I understand if he fled because his arms got beat up so badly where he couldn't actually use his weapon anymore, but this seems just like, he just kind of gave up too easily. Because humans, when it comes to fighting, they're actually sometimes really durable. It's crazy. "Scorpions, retreat, retreat!" Ace yelped as he also ran away, the cuts on his wings oozing blood. The remaining scorpions turned tail and bolted from the alleyway. Good use of different words there, leaving the wolf pack to tend to their injuries. "Well done, warriors," Scarface congratulated us, panting. Our leader had several cuts on his face, and blood trickled from his throat on a small cut. As Scarface spoke, he noticed a 10-year-old boy and girl trying to sneak out of the alley. Yes, that's the correct spelling. "Hold it, who are you two?" he snapped. The boy and girl turned around, and I was amazed by how identical they looked. I think this is the only time I've ever had a set of twins in my story. Are they twins? I think they were meant to be twins. I don't know. They both had brown hair, green eyes. I didn't put it in there. They were even dressed alike, in blue t-shirts and jeans. Except for the girl's hair being longer and in a ponytail, you could barely tell them apart, but so we're not gonna say how short the boy's hair is. We're just gonna bare minimum description. Oh, you know what? I realized I never actually mentioned skin color here. Yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes. The fact that I just assume everyone's white in this story based on the eye color I give. It's not a great look for teenage me. I'm sorry, and this is my sister, Lysra. What were those names? We just got here and heard about your gang. We were hoping to join you, but then why were you trying to run away? Why are we trying to leave? We're just gonna come back later? Because that would be like a good opportunity to be like, hey, we can help you after you literally save them in a fight. Said you're just gonna leave for no reason. Scarface smiled. "Well, I don't see why not. After all, you saved my life, Sarg, when Ace went to cut my throat. And your sister saved Coyote. Wait, if he was concentrating on not dying, how does he know that Coyote nearly died?" Ugh. Sorry, notification startled me. At that news, Sark and Lister both grinned. However, Scarface continued, his voice stern, the Lost City is the only safe haven for clones with special powers, like you, because it is unseen, lost from the human world. The other clones, like you, have broken out of dangerous science labs, bent on cloning humans from all over the world. If you ever go into the outside world, you must never tell anyone of the city's existence. If you do, the humans will find this place and make it their own. All the clones live here will be killed. But why? Why would they be killed when they have special powers? Wouldn't it make more sense that they will take him back to the labs that they escaped from, and then the powers be tried to give him to the humans? Do you understand? Oh, yes, because that exposition sounds perfectly natural. Absolutely 100% natural sounding. You could stick it in anywhere and it would sound fine. Yes, sir, Sarg replied. Lister simply nodded. All right, then. I say we collect some food, then head for home, Scarface said. Everyone nodded weakly, exhausted from the fight, as they began to try to salvage moldy crafted pizza from dumpster. Missing a word there. And also, moldy pizza. That's not gonna be good, you guys. You're gonna get food poisoning. Wow, you guys really live here? Sarg asked as he took in the dust-covered steps, broken chairs, boarded windows, and rusted doors. Yep, the stairs lead up to the bedrooms, and the door on your left leads to the kitchen. You mean I get to live in an old house? Sweet! Sarg shouted, rushing upstairs, his shoes thumping on the floor. Okay, but where were they living before? What's their backstory? I never explained that. Pick a room you like, but make sure it's occupied. I yelled up at him. Jaguar rolled his eyes. Great, we're living with a hyperactive person. Wow! Wow, 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 wow. Great. Good job, past me. Wow, that's not offensive at all. Wow. Hey, what's this? Lister called over to us. She was sitting in front of a blackened fireplace, ashes starting to coat her shoes, staring at a big, white rectangular piece of cloth. That's the Wolfpack's flag, Scarface explained. The black wolf in the middle means determination. The blue words on the outside are Spanish for we fight, we live, we die together, which shows that saying, because everyone in the Wolfpack is extremely loyal to each other. Okay, but why not Latin? Because every flag I've seen in the US has all been in Latin? So why Spanish instead of Latin? Spanish isn't bad, but why that particular language and not English or Latin? Why Spanish? Wow, Lissa whispered in awe. That's not really awe-worthy, that's just, oh, cool, worthy. Suddenly there was a huge crash upstairs. You might want to get up there and tell your brother to keep away from Jaguar's shield collection before Jaguar finds out, I advised. Yes, go ahead and say that right next to the person. They will never know. Jaguar stormed upstairs muttering to himself, his eyes dark. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna kill someone? Why? Why is he so angry? Lister bolted up. Oh, Lister bolted for the stairs, determined to save Sark from Jaguar's wrath. Why is he so angry all the time? Oh my gosh, it's not even a reasonable reaction. And also, if they have shields, why don't they use them in a fight? Because, I mean, they had knives in the fight, and several of them got hurt, because there wasn't any way they had to block the attacks. But now I'm saying they had shields that they could have brought to a fight, or, at least taken on patrol, but they just chose not to. Also, how does Jaguar have enough shields to have a collection? Where is she finding these shields? Who is making these shields? Again, none of this is ever answered. Alright, and that is it for Chapter 1. Now on to Chapter 2, which is a bit shorter. Chapter 2. As you can see, there is no chapter title, it is just a page break. But it is Chapter 2, rest assured. It's days like this where I hate not have electricity grammar. What is that? I grumbled to myself, shivering. My breath came out in clouds of frost, and the windows of our houses. That's not making the family room dim. I also hate not having running water and... Okay, the breath coming out in clouds of frost, that's not too bad, actually. That's a pretty good description. Coyote, can you please stop complaining? You're sounding like Jaguar. Soul snapped, his eyes flashing. If you're cold, come over here by the fire. I can't have you interrupting my lessons with your grumbling. He turned toward Sarg and Lysra, and this is the Jagrundi pack, our allies in the northern part of the city. Oh yes, how dare Coyote complain about flips up notes, not having basics stuff like electricity and water and being cold all the time. How dare she? That is clearly an awful crime. Also, the fact that Soul just backhanded insulted Jaguar is really freaking rude. Wow, what a rude person. It had been a week since Sarg and Lister joined us. Today they were sitting in the family room, learning about different gangs in different parts of the city. Now on the south side, okay, but A, if they were living in the Lost City, shouldn't they already know about that? And B, if they didn't, that's actually not a bad way to do the exposition. I could have had Alex's monologue, Scarface's monologue. No, I'm sticking with Alex. You know, be at least divided up a bit more. If they were like new and if they were extremely new to the city, then that would be a good way to deliver the exposition without it sounding clunky. But since we have no idea how long they've lived here, it seems like this is stuff they should know, but it's never actually determined. Bang. Oh, good onomatopoeia. I still use that method, actually. Suddenly, the front door flew open. Jaguar rushed in, covered in snow and blood. Soul, we need you. Emergency. The warrior gasped as he rushed back outside. Soul dashed for the kitchen, where he kept his herbs. As our healer, he was prepared for any situation. Now, for those of you who don't know, I was reading Warrior Cats at this time. Actually, I still sometimes read Warrior Cats, but anyway, and you could pretty much tell where I'm getting my influence from if you've ever read Warrior Cats. Which, funny enough, all of these OCs started out as Warrior Cat fan characters. Which, looking back, is really weird, but I mean, that's what most of my OCs started out as. Where they started as fan characters and slowly just evolved into their own thing. Scarface and Jaguar enter the family room, carrying an unconscious young man between them on a long piece of cloth, like a stretcher. I couldn't help notice that the person's blood had already soaked through the cloth, turning it crimson. My stomach lurched. Oh geez, not blood. I was fine with a little blood, like on the Wolfpack street skirmishes, but I could not stand the sight, feel, or smell of a ton of blood. Yeah, I'm pretty sure no one can, depending on how much blood there is. They put the stranger down on our dirty gray futon at the end of the room, just as Soul returned from the kitchen with bandages, water, and herbs. Yes, because that dirty gray futon will have zero risk of an infection. They didn't set him down on a clean surface at all. They just plopped him on a dirty, musty couch that will probably make the cuts so much worse if they aren't cleaned out. As our hero began to wash and bandage the wounds, the man groaned and opened his eyes. Are you the wolf pack? The stranger asked weakly. Scarface nodded. Athena requested presence at the smokehouse. The stranger continued, his voice getting weaker. Hey, look, Athena! But that was before she and Alex were a couple. I think they actually started dating in the third book of the series. But before then, they actually weren't a thing. Which is really weird now that they've been an established couple for a good long while in the novel that I'm currently working on. To have them not be a couple is just so odd to me. Why does she want us there? Scarface asked. The Jag-Grundy warrior was about to reply, but suddenly he went into a violent fit of coughing. I winced as he spat out blood into his hand. Ooh, that's not great. That's not good at all. That's slight sign of internal damage. Why does she want us at the smokehouse? Scarface repeated. The man, whose voice was now barely audible, whispered, Scorpions. Suddenly the stranger's body jerked violently, then laid still, his eyes becoming glassy. Soul yelped and checked the warrior's body for a pulse. After a few seconds, our healer sighed and closed his eyes. He didn't find one. He didn't even try CPR? Are you kidding me? They just decided, well, can't find a pulse for 1 second. Dude's dead instead of, trying CPR like any medical person would. At least he was able to give us the message before he died. Lister mumbled. Jaguar, go and see if we have any rags. I'm sure Athena would like her comrade's body back. Isn't Soul carrying the rags? Or are they just not big enough? Again, I never am super specific. Jaguar disappeared into the kitchen and came back with a pile of white cloth. Soul had already arranged the body to be wrapped. Okay, but we didn't hear Jaguar open any cupboards. So where was this cloth? Was it just sitting on the kitchen table waiting to be used? A sick feeling grew in the pit of my stomach, and I felt like I was going to lose my lunch. Jeez, the writing here. The issue with lose my lunch is the fact that the wording itself just undercuts the scene. There's something about it that just... I don't know. In order for the body to be wrapped, it first had to have all the blood drained from it. I mean, that's technically true, but they don't have any embalming fluid, so... And how are they going to drain it? They don't really have tubes or anything? It says just as Soul started to make the first cuts on the corpse, I couldn't take it. But, are they seriously just gonna cut this body open and then hang it upside down like one would do to, what they do to pigs in slaughterhouses? How are they gonna get all the blood drained? And furthermore, how are they gonna do it safely? Because I did not know what HIV was back then, but looking at it now, it's like, okay, but we don't know what diseases this person could have. So you gotta drain the blood safely as well. I quickly mumbled an excuse and rushed upstairs, and locked myself in the bathroom, stomach heaving. Okay, but if you're in a broken down house, you do not have any plumbing. Well, any working plumbing, so... If Coyote loses her lunch into essentially a sink or something... Okay, no, that's too detailed. Let's not go there. Let's not. 10 minutes later, I heard Scarface knocking on the door. Coyote, Coyote, are you there? What do you want, Scarface? I just want you to know that Soul, Sarg, and I are going to the smokehouse, and we want you to come with us, okay? I'll be right down, I replied. I quickly took a half-empty bottle of water from the cupboard above the sink, and swished some around in my mouth. I spat it out in the sink, trying to get rid of the vile taste in my throat. Again, there's no plumbing, so what she spat in the sink is not gonna drain out anywhere. Ew. As I went downstairs, I looked over the railing and saw the rest of the wolf pack getting ready to leave. So, has the body been drained of blood already? Because that seems abnormally fast. Jaguar was sharpening his claws on a flat rock, the scraping sounds echoing through the house. Why doesn't he just use a nail file? Soul was sitting at a table, packing rolls of bandages into a tattered green backpack. He then started chopping up some kind of medicine I had never seen before. "What's that, Soul?" asked Lysra, who was very interested in medicine and herbs. "Yes, good job telling," instead of showing. "These are pills, made from the milky juice of poppies. Doctors use these as painkillers. Thank you, warrior cats, for that." Also, how does he have pills? Because pill making is a certain process. So, how on earth? Why doesn't he just have poppy seeds? How did he make the pills? Also, if I don't chop them up, the warriors will get too much and it will kill them. So reply, dumping the diced medicine into the backpack. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that only works if you take a ton of poppy seeds. Like, a lot. Plus, the fact that it's chopping up, he doesn't even... These people are gonna be all different sizes, and the dosage is gonna freaking vary. Alright, since it looks like Coyote and Soul are ready to leave, let's go, Scarface announced as they came down the stairs. Scarface, Soul, so many S names, and I walked out into the streets, leaving Lysra and Jaguar to guard our house. Yes, 2 people to guard the house. 2 people. That's not a whole lot. We listened to make it even. The smokehouse was such a butcher shop that had its interest destroyed by fire. Many clones would have loved to live there, because it was surrounded by dumpsters, but the building's acid, smoky smell made it uninhabitable. Okay, but... So... It never mentioned what the smokehouse is, if it's on, like, the middle of both territories, but... So, they do have more dumpsters. So why aren't they using them? When I was 10 feet away from the smokehouse, the smog entered my lungs, making them burn like fire. Okay, but like, how early has this building been caught on fire? Because if it's been years, there's no way the smoky smell will last that long, I don't think. My eyes began to tear up, and I turned around and saw the rest of the pack wasn't doing much better. Sarg and Scarface were leaning on each other for support, as they staggered through the thick smoke, coughing violently that shouldn't be possible. Soul had the good sense to bring a scarf with him and wrap it around his mouth, so he wasn't breathing in as much smoke. From the way his eyes were watering, though, I could tell his method wasn't very effective. You know what actually is effective that I've heard? Besides scarves? Bras. I kid you not, some people have used bras to basically make a smoke filter if their house catches on fire. I think I remember reading that in one of the specials on Animal Planet a while back. But, yeah, that was definitely different. The wolf pack got into the building, and we nearly trampled each other trying to get into the next room. Zarg opened the rusted door of the next room, and I followed, gulping in the sweet, cold air. Okay, but if this is such a detrimental place, then why are they meeting here? Why don't they choose a place that, won't give them lung issues down the road? Scarface and Soul both stumbled in and closed the door, keeping the pure air inside the room. The wolf pack / Jagrundi's meeting place wasn't that impressive. Oh, considering it's a burned out building, I'm surprised it's still standing. It was just a plain white room with a long metal table and a cold tiled floor. All at once, there was a sound like the one I've heard when Lucas had thrown his knife at me. Sarg froze in horror as the weapon sailed toward him. Sarg, move! Scarface barked as he shoved the young warrior out of the weapon's path, and then ducked as it sailed over his head. I stared at the quivering object embedded in the wall. Half a second later, and our leader would have been hit by the arrow. Darn you, Athena! You almost killed Sarg. That requires stronger language, but since I grew up in a very predominantly Catholic middle and high school, I try not to add swearing to the first books that I wrote, which looking back is such an odd choice. Like, why did I not want there to be any swearing when teenagers swear all the time? Sorry, I thought he was a scorpion warrior, the Jagrani leader replied, stepping out of the shadows, her gray eyes reflecting shame and sadness. Okay, but if he was a scorpion warrior, why would he willingly be with those people? And even if he was like a prisoner or something, why would you try to kill someone they're potentially getting information out of? That makes no sense. It's just that I'm so angry at the scorpions that I shot the arrow without thinking. I lost over half my pack today. Her words made all the anger I had for shooting at my comrade instantly dissolve. Really? Really? Wow, that's such a quick change in emotion. How did you lose over half your pack, Athena? I asked. Why are they saying pack instead of group? Humans aren't in a group aren't really referred to as a pack. That's just an odd word choice right there. This afternoon, I was just coming back from patrol with Jinx and Caitlin. Ah, I guess this is an old... Did I put my cousin here as a cameo? Maybe. Because a long time ago, I put some family members in as, like, slight cameos for some reason. When I heard screaming from inside her home, I opened the door and found Jamie fighting a scorpion warrior. I raced into the battle, but there were about 20 of them and only 12 of us. Yeah, not good odds. But, I mean, that's still slightly doable, but not... I mean, you only have to kill, what? Oh god, math. 8? Yeah, you only have to get rid of 8 people, and then it evens out. As soon as I had us surrounded, Ace took out the blowtorch and... Athena said, her voice cracking, lit our house on fire. Alright, that is the end of chapter 2, and that is all I am going to do for this special. Once I hit 200 subscribers, if people want, I can read out the next few chapters, because I have all of this saved. But yeah, so, this was just, so you see, when I was 14, I wasn't exactly the best writer compared to how I am now. Like, I'm still not the best writer now, but I've at least improved significantly. So, writing does take practice, and even if your first story, like this one, looking back, it doesn't turn out the best, that's still okay. That's still good practice, and you should still just keep going. That's why, at the end of every review, I say writing, I call it a writing journey, because that's what it is. You're never really done learning different things in writing. Alright, well that is all. Please comment down below if you liked it, like and subscribe. And thank you so much for 100 subscribers. I truly appreciate it. Bye everyone. I'll see you in the next book review, which I am working on.